Twinkle, twinkle, little bat, how I wonder what you're at. Up above the world so high, like a teacher in the sky. Twinkle, 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 twinkle! I won!
Oh man, that was close.
You weren't even saying. Okay, we're on. Well, hi kids. I'm Josiah Milky. This is Jordan Milky, and you're probably wondering why I was singing and dancing with Junior Asparagus back here. The song we just sang is Twinkle Twinkle Little Bat, which is why Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, but it's the version from the subject of today's Disney animation review. Walt Disney's 13th animated feature film classic, Alice in Wonderland. You all know Alice in Wonderland, all the great creatures and the different locations.
And the cute little bunny rabbits.
Right, that too. Walt Disney was very familiar with the Alice stories, having read them when he was a young boy. Walt had actually, in the 1920s, done some Alice shorts, which was live action combined with animation, back when he ran the Laugh-O-Gram film company. Remember Laugh-O-Grams?
Mm-hmm.
And then Walt, when he started doing feature films, wanted to do Alice as a live-action and animated film starring Mary Pickford as Alice. Ultimately, the idea was scrapped in favor of Snow White, but after Snow White, Walt still landed on the idea of doing Alice as a feature film. But because of how hard it was going to be to make, and also because the drawings that story artist David Hall came up with felt too grim and dark for Walt's taste, Alice in Wonderland was put on hold due to World War II. After the war, Walt brought Alice back into development, again, originally as an animated / live-action film. This time he considered Ginger Rogers for the starring role. Ginger Rogers was a movie star in the 1930s alongside Fred Astaire. Finally, Walt decided to do Alice in Wonderland as an all-animated feature film, which I say works out a lot better, don't you?
I agree.
Alice in Wonderland was finally released in the summer of 1951, but unfortunately was panned by critics at the time because they felt like Walt Disney had taken Lewis Carroll's books and didn't respect them, I guess, when he was doing this. And it also didn't do so good at the box office. It did better in re-releases, and today is largely viewed as a classic. So now, years after its summer 1951 release, more than 65 years to be exact, let's talk Alice in Wonderland. So at the start of the film, we get to meet Alice, voiced by, in her acting debut, or at least her voice acting and feature film animation debut,
Okay.
Catherine Beaumont.
Later the voice of Wendy in Peter Pan, Walt Disney's next film.
That's right. Next animated film, anyway. Alice wants to do something more fun than listen to her sister read history books, and sings a song called In a World of My Own, where she dreams about her Wonderland, where everything is different from the way it is in the real world. Immediately after the song's over, she sees the White Rabbit, who runs around carrying a pocket watch and yells, I'm late! So she follows him down a rabbit hole, and this is how she winds up in Wonderland, and that gets the whole story going. From there, we basically get an episodic movie where it's Alice trying to find the White Rabbit and meeting all these different creatures. The Tweedle Twins, some twin boys who tell her a nonsensical story, the Walrus and the Carpenter, a group of flowers who sing about themselves, and the Golden Afternoon, that's what it's called, is Golden Afternoon, the Caterpillar, the Cheshire Cat, who's one of my favorite Disney characters, even if he is voiced by Sterling Holloway, you know, Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah.
And then probably my favorite scene is the Mad Tea Party scene where she celebrates her unbirthday with the Mad Hatter and the March Hare, and they sing the unbirthday song. Finally, she meets up with the Queen of Hearts, who she accidentally gets on the Queen's bad side, and the Queen threatens to lop off her head, leading Alice to try to find her way home. Disney's done episodic movies before, of course, with Pinocchio, and Alice in Wonderland's another example of this, but compared to Pinocchio, Alice in Wonderland, to me, might be considered a step backwards inside the box, wouldn't you say?
I agree.
Alice has some good parts, though. My favorite character is probably Cheshire Cat. My favorite scene is the on-birthday Mad Tea Party scene with the Mad Hatter and the March Hare. And it's got some pretty catchy songs. I think Golden Afternoon and the on-birthday song are my favorites. So, do you have anything you specifically like or dislike about Alice before I say my dislikes?
I like Alice's main song, In a World of My Own. I like Golden Afternoon. One of the funny parts is when the Mad Hatter and the March Hare mess up the White Rabbit's watch and it goes crazy.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. One good thing I can say about Alice is a fantastic voice cast, as usual from Disney. Like I said, Catherine Beaumont had her voice acting debut as Alice. There's Bill Thompson as the White Rabbit. Thompson went on to voice several Disney characters. Sterling Holloway and Verna Felton were both staple Disney actors at the time. Holloway voices the Cheshire Cat, and Felton the Queen of Hearts. Richard Haydn is the Caterpillar. Jerry Colonna, who narrated Casey at the Bat for Make Mine Music, is the March Hare. And Ed Wynn is the Mad Hatter. Wynn went on to cameo in Mary Poppins. And this is where J. Pat O'Malley, Mr. Toad's horse, Cyril, in Wynn and the Willows, starts to become a stable actor at Disney. J. Pat O'Malley voices the Tweedles, the Walrus, and the Carpenter. Wow, that man must have had a big vocal range.
Yeah.
And speaking of Manny, not only do we have all these characters, there are also more songs in this film than there are in any typical animated Disney feature, at least as far as my records go. Most of the songs, however, are really, really short, like In a World of My Own, the White Rabbit song, I'm Late, the Caterpillar song, and others. I think my least favorite parts are probably the Caterpillar. When he talks really boringly, even when he's angry. He sounds boring. And number 2, he's a smoker.
Ugh.
And we don't want our kids smoking.
Right.
Probably my least favorite part is the Walrus and the Carpenter, the story the Tweedles tell, because it detracts from the main storyline.
And the story's not the best.
It's too confusing and, at the end, too upsetting. I won't spoil what happens, but...
Right.
So, all in all, where would I put Alice in Wonderland in ranking the animated Disney films? I'd say probably somewhere in the middle to top of the bottom half of the list.
I agree.
It's not the worst animated Disney film, but it's not the best animated Disney film ever, either. Like I said, critical response was mixed at first, but it's gone on to be a classic. And it's gotten better at the box office with a couple re-releases in theaters. It did receive an Academy Award nomination for Best Score, which is good.
Yeah.
So, it's a good Disney film, it's just not a great Disney film.
Right.
The film's latest home video release, we own the special unanniversary edition DVD release from spring of 2010, which was released to coincide with the live-action Tim Burton version. But the latest home video release of the film is the 60th anniversary edition Blu-ray release from early 2011. With new bonus features like a game called Painting the Roses Red, themed after the song and the event, with the Queen of Hearts playing card soldiers doing the same thing when we first meet them. And some other new stuff, plus plenty of bonus features from previous DVD releases, like the original trailers, behind-the-scenes features, deleted Cheshire Cat song not used in the movie, and the Alice-inspired 1936 animated short, Through the Mirror, starring Mickey Mouse.
Oh.
Alice in Wonderland had a live-action movie remake in spring of 2010, directed by Tim Burton, which, despite mixed reviews, went on to be a billion-dollar grosser worldwide for Disney, and won Academy Awards for Best Art Direction, and I believe Best Costume Design, with an additional nomination for Best Visual Effects. This one is Alice going back to Wonderland as an adult, having to help her friends take out the Red Queen, as they call the Queen of Hearts in this one. The film stars Johnny Depp as the Mad Hatter, and Anne Hathaway as the White Queen, a character that wasn't in the animated version.
And Mia Wasikowska as Alice.
Yeah, I believe Mia Wasikowska is a newcomer in that film to acting. The film did so well at the box office and won those Academy Awards that it got a sequel, Alice Through the Looking Glass, in spring of 2016, where Alice goes back to Wonderland again and confronts a new villain played by Sacha Baron Cohen. Animation buffs like me will remember him as the voice of King Julian, the ruler of the lemurs in the Madagascar films.
Mm-hmm.
That film also got mixed reviews, but the reviews on this one were even worse than the reviews in the first one. And also, this one wasn't as good at the box office as the first one, largely because it flopped at the American box office. Guess I won't be watching that movie anytime soon.
Uh-huh.
So there you go. That's our thoughts on Alice in Wonderland. If you want to see it, go ahead and check it out. It's probably not one you'll be returning to annually, but it's not a total waste of time either.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're out of time for today. So remember, kids, when you wish upon a star, your dreams come true. See you soon!
Goodbye!